We have a repeat of last year's quarter-final as Leinster play Leicester. Will the result be any different? My name is Mark. Let's talk rugby. Leinster versus Leicester. Two teams with great European histories between them. They clash at the BB Stadium in Dublin on Friday the 7th of April. Kickoff is 8 p.m. BST. Let's take a look at the two teams. So starting with the home team, Leinster. Backs are Keenan, Jimmy O'Brien, Ringrose, Henshaw, Lowe, Ross Byrne and Gibson Park. The forwards, Porter, Sheehan, Furlong, Maloney, Ryan, Baird, Doris and Conan. Replacement bench then is McKee, Healy, Alatoa, Jenkins, Penny, McGrath, Harry Byrne and Frawley. The Leicester team, the backs, Brown, Watson, Potter, Kelly, Stewart and Pollard with Van Poortvliet at 9. The forwards, Cronin, Montoya, Hayes, Martin, Henderson, Liebenberg, Reffel and Visa. On the bench then they have Clare, West, Cole, Snyman, Cracknell, Wolfston, Home, Atkinson and Gottberts. Okay, so team news for the two teams. Leinster, Jimmy O'Brien moves from centre to right wing. That's to make room for Gary Ringrose, who comes back in at 13 following that head knock that he got in the Six Nations. We have then Doris comes back in, who replaces Josh Van der Fleer, who's got a knock. So Doris is playing at 7. He's not really a fetcher, but I think he's probably going to play a role akin to someone like Martin Williams or David Wallace, more linking 7 than fetching 7. And with the likes of Porter in the team, we've already got players who can compete at the breakdown, but still it'd be interesting to see how the balance of the back row goes with him at 7. I believe he's only started there once before. Other than that, the starting team is the same as against Ulster, and the bench is the same as against Ulster as well. The Leicester team then, Mike Brown comes in at fullback, and we have a bit of musical chairs because of that. So Freddie Stewart moves from fullback to left wing, Harry Potter moves to outside centre from the wing, and then Guy Potter drops out of the match day squad. Dan Kelly comes in at inside centre and Gottberg drops to the bench. Visa gets a start after his try-scoring impact against Edinburgh. Cracknell drops to the bench. And then Joe Hayes also earns a start at tight head with Dane Cole dropping to the bench. Okay, so how did the two teams get here? Leinster finished first in Pool A. They went win, double over Gloucester and Racing. Leicester were fourth in Pool B, went win, loss. Lost to Ospreys, beat Ospreys in the return fixture, and then did the double over Clermont. Currently, Leinster are first in the Euro C. Leicester are third in the Premiership. Leinster 4 times previous champions, 2009, 11, 12 and 18. Leicester 2 times previous champions, 2001 and 2002. Last year, Leinster were the runners-up, and Leicester last year quarter-final lost to Leinster. So, as I said at the top, this is a repeat of that fixture. The last time they both played in the domestic leagues, Leinster drew 22-all with the Stormers, but comparing the two teams that played that day and are playing on Friday, there aren't that many players who were in the starting team for that one. Leicester won 46-24 against Bristol in the Premiership, and then in the last 16, Leinster beat Ulster 30-15, and Leicester came through against Edinburgh 16-6. That one was, one for the purists, or not. I don't think even rugby purists will ever watch that one again. But still, you win whatever way you can, right? And the conditions had a big impact on that game. The odds for this game, Leinster are 8-1 on favourites, Leicester 7-1. And for the tournament overall, Leinster 5-4 on favourites, and Leicester are 50-1. So big outsiders for them, and probably a lot of that is to do with the fact that this fixture here, most people don't think they're going to get over this. So why would you back them to go all the way? Now, in terms of some discussions that people have been having during the week, so Ty Furlong, he's been talking about the fact that you got to prove yourself every time that you play for Leinster. You have to work hard for your results, and everyone in the squad wants to improve, and that's something that is completely inbuilt in there. It's not something that is kind of fake or anything like that. The guys are just, it's so competitive in there. Everyone wants to get better, and they drive each other to get better as well. For Leicester, Richard Wigglesworth has been talking about how big a challenge it will be to play a team like Leinster, because they've got 30-odd players who've been capped by Ireland. Most of those players have played together for most of their lives. They dominate the Ireland squad and played there together as well. But he said that they are, excited by this test, and these are the big games that they want to play in. For Leinster, and Leo Cullen has been talking about, Doris being at 7. He says it's actually something that they've discussed quite a bit. He also had praise for Scott Penny, who was the other option, obviously, to play at 7. Said he's had an outstanding season, and how he's kind of unlucky to miss out, because Scott Penny in the URC has been one of the standout players for Leinster. Generally, the back row in the URC this year has been Rhys Ruddock, Penny, and Conan at 8. And then the Irish guys have come in for a lot of the bigger games. But it's good to see him on the bench, and hopefully he'll have some impact when he does come on. Cullen has also been talking about, playing against his old team and how their DNA hasn't changed since he played there. They're hardworking, and they are full of fight with very good fundamentals. He also talked about how this year will be different to last year's quarterfinal meeting because Leicester are English champions and they're in good form. But I think that this year will be different to last year as well for a different reason, and that is because Leinster, I believe, are a better team than they were last year too. And it feels like they're on a bit of a mission this year. They didn't win a trophy last year, and they seem to want to correct that this year. They're going for the double. Whether they can do that or not, I'm not sure. But I think they're going to be more switched on in terms of being aware of teams targeting them, because that's something I think Leicester are going to do. I think we saw a lot against Edinburgh where they managed to slow their ball down a lot, and they're going to try to do that again against Leinster, I think. But we've seen with Leinster this year that they're actually able to adapt to teams targeting them at the breakdown. Generally, teams will have a bit of success early on, but then Leinster will adapt to it on the fly on the pitch, which I think is a big kind of step forward for this playing group, because last year when La Rochelle did it to them in the final of this competition, and when the Bulls did it to them in the quarterfinal of the URC, they didn't have that ability to adapt to what was happening in front of them. But I think the players have really matured this year, and I think it's going to be something that helps them through this game if that is what Leicester are going to do. I think Leicester will target them at it, and I think that they will have probably some success early on. But one thing you got to do against this Leinster team is You got to stop them scoring in those couple of minutes before halftime and after halftime, because if you look at a lot of the tight games that they've had this year, they've managed to score in one or both of those periods, where other teams are either switched off thinking, okay, we've managed to hold them out, let's get in at half time. Leinster are still switched on into the 42nd, 43rd, 44th minute of that first half, and they often can catch you napping and score there. And the same in the second half as well. Expect them to make a quick start to the game and to the second half of the game as well. Again, they come out, the other team maybe are still a little bit in the changing room. Leinster, though, always switched on, always looking for those opportunities. They apply the pressure early, and generally they do get to score. So keeping them out in that period there, I think, is going to be key to Leicester having a chance of winning the game, because whatever the score is at half time, if you let Leinster in those periods, then they're going to start taking control of the game, and you don't want to be chasing a game against this Leinster team, because they're so good at, when you make a mistake, taking advantage of that and punishing you as well. And just suddenly, what was a tight game, they've stretched it out a lot. Now, Leicester, they are in pretty good form, and they're a team with a proud history. They're definitely going to come and give it their all, but I've got to back my Leinster for this one. Got to back the boys, and hopefully we can do it, but I think we will.